What's going on, guys? My name is Wonderful, and yes, I know it's been a good while since I've been posting any new content lately, and that's all because I kind of need to take a break first from posting any videos because when you're gonna post some more videos, sometimes you need to take a break once in a while. So yes, I am um back to make back to making more content for you guys because I did miss making awesome content for you guys. But other than besides taking a break though, you're probably wondering what today's video is gonna be about though. So today we're gonna interview Rue. Now for those who don't know who Rue is, the King Rue. So basically is an awesome content creator who basically makes like a first suiting vlogs, yeah, vlogs and talks like different topics, and sometimes does like a non fandom topics sometimes. And of course, like he also does a gaming stream on the side as well though. So yeah, without further ado, I'll let the kangaroo take over.
So I started in the fandom back in around 2001. And the reason I remember that is because I liked Final Fantasy VII at the time, and I had a Yahoo Instant Messenger thing, and I called it RedX, 2021, or RedX 13 2021, because I like that character for obvious reasons, right? So obviously it was an original name and everyone else had Red X13 anyway, so I had to add the year to the end of it. Apparently, I was not the only Final Fantasy 7 fan back then, apparently. Well, I haven't played a RPG like that in a long time because adulthood gets busy and I don't have 60 hours to spend like I used to. Man, time is a precious commodity. Enjoy it enjoy it. Enjoy playing those kind of games while you can, and enjoy the stories, and share it with others and stuff like that. And hopefully the games that come out are just as good. But anyways, back to the topic. I go off on tangents a lot. So I kind of got into sort of messenger boards and things like that, such as a big one was Yahoo Groups, some Neopets, some Pokemon ones. With furry art on it. Back then, it was really new and fresh and interesting. Obviously, I think the quality of art has improved a little bit. Probably we're very spoiled for choice these days. It's sort of like in my day it was when the internet first came around and you could access certain things. Like the older people was like, you used to have to go out and get these like magazines in order to find salacious things, but now you can just get it on the internet. And but even like compared like between the gap of those generations, the gaps of these ones, I think is kind of the same, right? It's like there's like 7 furry websites and they all have different kinds of content that appeal to different kinds of people with different kinds of tastes, scandalous or otherwise. My first suit was made by my sibling. I won't name their name just for privacy's sake and doxing sake, but I've known my first suit maker my whole life. They're an artsy and a crafty kind of person. They went to college for art, and then they had to go back to college for another thing. And the poor person. It's like, dang it, now I gotta go back for something more technical and practical, and it's annoying. Like, you know, technical skills can lead into hobby skills very easily, and you could sort of have services that are useful to others. Art also is useful to others, but it's very competitive at it's either you're really well paid and you're an artist, or you're like community artist and having to get angry at the internet when you make something really good and then it blows up beyond your community because some jerkwad stole your art on your glass. That actually happened to my poor sibling. It's sad. They like made a little fox character on a glass for like their thing in it, and like that design was like, not only was it taken on the internet, but they like changed it in a way that where she's like it's one thing that they stole the design. It's another thing that they like changed one or two things that make it look awful. It's like maybe they were trying to get away. It's like, see, this is original, even though it's the exact same shape with the slightly different coloration. I'm glad I'm not an artist in certain ways. The skill I have is my own, and like the skills I have are my own, and I just got to remember that. As little and as dumb as I think I am, that I have the skill, and that's the same with artists. Artists is like, I have the skill, I hone that skill, I can create, and even if machines come around and give a lot of people that. But anyways, that's my fursuit creator, was my sibling. You can cut that to whatever size you need. If you're wondering about the avatar, I found this at Virtual Furality this 2024 year, and it has the like most of the avatars on these things, they have a card that you can see. Avatar based the Wallaby by Free Fox. And Free Fox, by the way, it comes with a video that kind of teaches you a little bit about basic editing. So I bought this base and I recolored it myself, and took me 5 hours to do. And through that process, I learned a little bit about, because I've never used Photoshop or anything like that before. It wasn't Photoshop. I used the free one that starts with a K that I can never remember the name of. Shows you how often I use it. Was able to make the little spots on my ears and stuff like that. And that might be a further question of my persona, but those are the things. So this is the person who made my virtual avatar. My fursuit was made by my sibling back in 2013 or 14. So it's 10 years old. It's celebrated its 10-year anniversary. So that's it for that question. Thanks. I knew that question was coming. Okay, whoa. Whoops. I kept flying mode on. Hold on. You can cut to yourself looking very impatient right now and like answer my question. Yeah. Now you can see my thing, my hips, and you're not supposed to see that. There we go. There. You saw that I was null. Anyway, what was the question again? Oh yes, my persona. Anyways, everything's going fine and dorky. Anyway, so my persona, I think I finally came to this particular persona in 2006 or 7-ish. Before that, once again, evolution. Like everything, like every character you see evolved from something, right? Like Discord evolved from those platforms that I talked about earlier, MIRC, things like that. Like iterative sort of technology that, breaks new trends. Telegram is an iteration of blah, blah, blah. This one's an iteration. I was a black kangaroo in Second Life for a bit. Before that, I was a, regular tan kangaroo. And then before that, I was a wolf before I decided to be a kangaroo. One of the main inspirations for me being a kangaroo is I always love the animal. Like I love their kind of laid back thing, but also their strength. They sort of have a laid back strength to them, and I've always appreciated animals. They're chill. They'll leave you alone. They do what they do. They keep moving forward. They don't look back. But they also, like, if push comes to shove, they'll shove, right? If they need to, but they don't necessarily need to. So the design is sort of inspired by Derision's Afra. And so if you look at, and particularly the older style of Derision's Afra, if you know Neopet colors, that's where you can see the spots on the back of the ears. like one of the, it was kind of funny when I was talking to one of my friends one time and they saw the new avatar. They're like, "There's spots on the back of your ears. Were those always there?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just made them. They're like they're part of the character. If you look at some of the art that I did." So it was my character was black spots on ears, orange, midsection, red, everything else. The white in the ears, interestingly, was an artifact of the artist. And it's sort of a cool thing that can happen. And I don't think a lot of people talk about is that, an artist will create, you describe your character in words, but you leave out some details. And I didn't really give them a color of my inner ear, I guess. So my first real picture with my character was made by Flinters, and it was the one where I was sitting. I don't have full motion control on, but I was basically sitting with my leg sort of over my other leg. So, my character was naked, but their leg was covering it was sitting cross-legged like this, with sort of more like this, I guess, and or something like cross-legged, the hands fumbling and the thing. Yeah. Anyways, they're sitting cross-legged and the leg was crossed over the hip, so you couldn't so it was blocking the pelvic region. And so it sort of had and you're resting on your head's resting on her hands like this, right? So that was the first major picture I got done of that character, and in that picture, Flinters had, ooh, that's cool. I always forget it does that. Where you basically, had the inner ear be white, and that stuck because I thought it was pretty cool. And then Orange Vanilla Coke came around. I'm one of the few roos that wasn't inspired by a soda, and then a soda came and took my colors, and it was Orange Vanilla Coke. And luckily for me, Orange Vanilla Coke didn't last long. I outlasted Orange Vanilla Coke. I was here before Orange Vanilla Coke, and I'll be here after Orange Vanilla Coke. Never forget. I'm not a soda-roo. Okay. That's enough about that question. First year. Not 9/11. That's not the correct answer. I think I was a furry before 9/11. It was the same year, as I said, 2001. When everything changed. And everybody now lines up for the TSA conga line. I never went to an airport before that, so I'm not used to the pre-experience. But this is about my memories. I remember all that stuff, but my memories of my first year as a furry, I don't really recall. I can remember my earlier days as a furry. I can remember the first furry I met in person. I can't remember if it was within that first year. I don't think it was. I think I was in college at that point because I was in high school back in 2001. I graduated high school in 2024-ish. I'm not gonna. I know the year, but I'm gonna leave it broad. I graduated high school in the early things, and I graduated college in the mid to late 2000s era. So me being me meeting my first furry in person kind of happened during my college years. I needed a new laptop because mine had busted. And I, as a young college student, didn't have the money to go online and just buy something. And by the way, the online markets back then were not great. Amazon wasn't up to speed yet. So if you wanted to buy something, furries got tech. And there was a furry college student who wanted to sell his laptop. So I went down to meet him, and he was in United States from a foreign country. So interestingly, I'm a United States furry. The first furry I ever met was a foreigner, was a foreign furry from Singapore. The name is Junius Trey. And the Junius Trey, I've got to say, I'm very proud of the guy. He has come a long way, farther than any other furry I know. Like he was in the college thing. He was like he was sort of a stereotypical tech like guy. Like you would say, like pretty large in build, like a little sweaty, a little grungy. But he's good and shy and sort of timid, and like we just exchanged we talked about furry a little bit, and I bought his laptop and I was gone. Like I got him a meal and something like that. But we didn't like do anything too intimate. It was just basically platonic and transactional, and it was interesting because it's like I'm meeting a stranger all the way, and like it was about a good 2-hour drive to get from my place to that particular college, and now he's married. He's back in Singapore. Basically, Singapore allows you to go out to a college in a foreign country, but you have to come back. And everybody in Singapore is conscripted into the military, basically, and it's sort of part of the military program where you get a college education and you can go wherever you need to go and get it done. But it's really strict. As soon as you're coming back, you come back to the country, kind of a thing. He's married. He's lost a lot of weight. He looks very fit. He's drawing very excellent traditional art pieces, and not even just furry ones, like actual like different ones. I strike him as the artist kind, but he's done a very good job, and it's cool that I've seen him. I randomly kind of lost touch with him for a long time, and then I found him on the social media sites again. So. Other people I've met and along the way, like Strange Love, I've met them at Furry Vermin, but that was in my earlier years of this persona. You enjoy the people you meet along the way, and there was some trials and people that I fell out with in the early years, right? Due to different reasons, different priorities, and like. And so you find out who you are and who other people are, and you maintain friendships and acquaintances, and life goes on. And so, but those early days are formative, and I'm glad that, like, unlike a lot of furries I know, I kind of dodged a lot of bullets. I've heard a lot of horror stories from other furries about their earlier times in the fandom. There are some people in the fandom who don't have your best interest in mind, and I think that's important to keep in things. I was very lucky when I went out to meet that furry that they were a timid furry who was like looking to sell a laptop and not really interested in anything else, like obviously interested in talking as a furry, but not interested in like taking advantage of the situation that this college kid drove all the way out there, right? So but, you do reckless things when you're young, and it's like, that's the most reckless thing you've ever done? I mean, like, you're a boring Roo. I know. That's why I talk about what other people do, not what I do most of the time. But thank you for the opportunity for me to talk about myself, I suppose. Anyways, next question. What does furry mean to me? Well, the interesting thing is, like, I think furry is a fandom. First and foremost, and fandom is etymology is tied with the word fanatic, which means that you enjoy something and you really enjoy it, and it sort of takes a portion of your life, and it's sort of a hobby / community kind of thing. And an interesting thing is, it's like usually when you're talking about community does take work, and furry, I think a lot of people talk about getting a furry community, actual commune together, and like having like a large group of them together in one place. But community takes effort, and a lot of furry things are like they're kind of scattered into like conventions, and like people like these sort of intense sort of gatherings with like a lot of social stimulus, and then sort of ebb and flow out. And then when you're young, you might get post-con depression, but as you get older, you're like, like, I got enough of that I needed, and I can kind of get back to solving the problems that I'm told to solve, or solving the problems at home. if the problems at home are really hard, though, obviously that would lead to some post-con depression. But as far as like what the community means, it's like everybody tries to own what furry means. In short, the textbook definition, I did a live post journal about this actually. Back in the live journal days, before it was bought by Mother Russia. Russia. Shoo. Oh my gosh, it does the lip thing. Shoo. Anyway, that's lovely. I'm going to use the heck out of that. Shoo. Anyway, that's great. Anyway, so I posted about this where when people talk about community, I am very autistic. Not very autistic. I'm like high functioning, but I do have I was diagnosed with that at a young age. Luckily, it was high functioning enough to get a really good job and maintain my composure. Sometimes the fervor and the anger can get to me sometimes, and I need to just walk it off. But when things get really intense, but at the end of the day, what are we talking about again? I don't have attention deficit disorder, even if I do tangential topics. Basically, Russia. Yes. Okay. There we go. I remember now. Russia. Okay. Now it's like, what was the last funny thing you did? Now I can remember where I was. So live journal, because I remember Russia about live journal. It's how I got back on my tangent. So basically, when I did that, when I wrote that post, I was basically like, there's a textbook definition of something, and then there is the feeling that comes with community, right? So the textbook is like analytical, and then the feeling part is emotional. So, for instance, Furry is a fandom that endears and enjoys content that revolves around talking animals / anthropomorphic animals, humanized animal characters. And that is the definition of a furry. So when you say, what does a furry mean to you? Well, that's the definition of a furry. But the emotional side. And what I compared it to was like, since I'm a person from United States of America, I compared it to like being a countryman, right? There is the textbook definition of being a countryman, right? Being an American means that you are a citizen of the United States of America. That is the textbook definition of what being an American means. But if you were to ask most Americans what makes an American, right? You're going to get a variety of different definitions based on the aspect of the community that they primarily focus on in their own endeavors. For instance, you're like, an American tells the truth. An American, looks upon his country with pride. And that's sort of like a nationalist thing, if you're more nationalist. Or an American always seeks justice for all, even if it requires effort. Or an American tries to uphold the constitutional standard of the United States. Or an American tries to look and create a community that goes beyond the color and the creed of our citizenry. You can have a variety of different definitions, right? An American fights for their country, or an American speaks their mind, or an American but not all Americans are going to believe such things, right? Americans support marginalized communities. Is that true to you? If you're furry, more than likely, right? And I think more than likely if you're an American, more than likely. But there are obviously aspects of certain people in America who don't believe that as much as they believe in they're the ones with power and, America is them. And you'll see that in certain candidates, since voting is coming up. You'll see that in certain candidates that go like, that person is un-American because that person doesn't match their ideals, right? Whether those ideals are like, or they'll project ideals that are unlikable towards people, towards general groups of people, right? Instead of treating them as individuals, like some would say that's un-American, right? But some Americans would use that tool because Americans are them. They are America. They like it's sort of like the royal we kind of a thing. And obviously I don't trend on that side, but there are Americans that do. And just like this, there are a lot of people in furry who believe that they are the furry fandom. Particularly people who have made it, right? Like, there are some people who believe a particular candidate is America, right? And that's why they'll vote for them. But I think the community as a whole, I think that the fans are the community, and the people on the stage are happy to have them as an audience if they're a good person, and as long as they remember where they came from and the hardships that they had, and understand that hardships and treat other people like that, I think the community will go far. And I've seen a lot of good furries and a lot of good things, and there's a lot more braver furries than I am. There's a lot more people who are on the ground and who are speaking for the weird a lot better than I am. And that's why I always promote people like that, like Ash Coyote, and other folks who do nonfiction news. Even Dog Patch, like in his coverage of certain aspects of the fandom. I'm here to talk about things as they are, not how I want them to be. And I'm not trying to push for the fandom to go in a certain direction. Because I think that there are a lot of furries who are better furries than I am, and I blend in with the normies a little too well. Let's just say that. But and that's sort of in some furries we call that a privilege, and I would say it has its quirks and its strengths and its weaknesses, just as anything else. But anyways. My hope is that furries continue to be weird and continue to, continue to be sort of the rodeo clown in the political space, right? Because unfortunately, like, we don't want to be a little bit. I know furries don't want to be, and one day we want to be free from, tyrannical people trying to go like, you can't have fun like that because I'm not having fun. Why should you have fun? I know we're trying to avoid that. We're trying to do that kind of thing. But it acts as a rodeo clown to those kind of folks. Like, it attracts them and it gets them angry. And, as long as you understand that they're triggered in that way, not to use a turn of phrase, as it were. I accidentally grabbed this, so I'm just leaning into it. But as long as we keep understanding that they're bull and, they're on the internet, they're angry bull, like, just do the ole thing and play the ring person and try not to stab them with a sword because that's just not cool. You've moved past that, I would hope, for the bullfighting thing. But obviously if they gouge you, like, know that the bull can sometimes gouge you, and hopefully furries avoid that for as long as possible. Sometimes, unfortunately, those raging bulls come from within the fandom, and more increasingly these days, as our political leaders who focus on ire and anger are more successful towards people of our generation, especially as things get harder out there, economically, sociologically, and spiritually. Anyways, thanks, Roland Wolf, for having me on. I saw your channel. Like, when we started this, we were at about the same pace. You outgrew me. I think it's because you embraced the shorts. I didn't embrace the shorts. You went in and you embraced those shorts, man. Like, you were like, and I saw some of them and they were great. Like, unfortunately, the algorithm doesn't pop them up too much. But I like the collaborations you did with some folks on the TikToks. I enjoyed those. And I hope you keep on giving it a shot. And if you want to see my channel, it's World in Review. And I talk about furry topics in very long and drawn out form. So if this didn't bore you to tears and make you sad and feel like you wasted your time, then maybe give it a subscribe. If, however, you said this guy's pretentious, and sounds pretentious and snooty, then, probably not for you. But, the fandom's huge now. You have limited time. Enjoy yourself and be safe. Thanks, Rowan.
If any of you guys are interested in his content, I will leave his link in his channel down in the description down below. If any of you guys are curious, feel free to check him out. And if you like what he does, what he posts on his content, feel free to show him some love, give him a like, and also subscribe to his channel because he does make some pretty cool content. But yeah, that's about it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and comment for the next video, and subscribe to join my furry journey. Stay free, my friends. Hope to see you all in the next video. Bye!